What's up guys, welcome to Voicey here. This is your host, Captain Zach, and today's subreddit is r/EntitledParents. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story's called Entitled Mom Wanted Her Daughter to be Part of Her New Family. It's a story from an old acquaintance of mine. Entitled Mom had an unwanted pregnancy. Her partner had enough of her and left her. After birth, she abandoned the baby to her mom and moved away. The baby grew up with an aging grandma and had no contact with Entitled Mom until she was in high school. Entitled Mom came back and wanted to take her baby, now a teenager, back. Let's call her D. D was so excited to meet Entitled Mom. Entitled Mom showered her with gifts to compensate for the last 16 years she missed. But it did not last long, not even a week, before she revealed she has a new family. A husband and a young kid who did not know D exists. Now, Entitled Mom wants to bring D back with her to be part of her new family. She needed someone she can trust to take care of her kid while both she and her husband work. Who else is the best fit for the role of the nanny than your own daughter, right? She offered her to stay with them and she promised to support her daily needs and provide a better living condition, given that Entitled Mom's husband was wealthier than her aging mom. But she had to stop schooling and become a full-time nanny. What's worse is that she must not reveal her true story to Entitled Mom's husband nor her stepbrother. Why can't you understand? I'm just doing it for your own good. I wanted you back in my life so we can catch up all the things I missed from your life. But you don't want to be my mom. You just wanted the nanny for free. Don't you dare speak up to me like that. You should be grateful that I gave birth to you. You wouldn't be living if not because of my mistake. Mistake? I wish you would have just not had me. If that's what you wanted, then you are qualified to be my daughter. At this point, D's grandma stepped in and of course sided with D. They got more heated arguments, blaming each other for wrong decisions and old family feuds. But in the end, Grandma got so furious with her own daughter. If that's how you wanted to treat your family, then you are no longer my daughter too. Get out of here and never come back. Don't bother us again. They sent her away. D once told us this story lightheartedly when we were having some conversation with some classmates, though I can't remember how the topic opened up, but most of them tried to pitch ways how she can take advantage of the situation for herself. That's horrible. Don't we have laws that forces your mom to pay child support? You're still a minor, you know. You could squeeze out some cash.
Why don't you just blackmail your mom? Threaten her that you'll reveal her secrets to her husband.
Guys, what are you talking about? I don't have a mom, remember? I think D just chose not to have any relations with Entitled Mom whatsoever. The way she told this story was like she was telling a mundane thing from her life. Totally normal and no hint that she wanted any pity. It didn't occur to me back then the gravity of her situation and didn't even bother to say any words of support for her. I'm a horrible person too, but her story got stuck with me somehow. Wow, that story was actually kinda sad. Well, just goes to show that people suck, I guess. But I will say this, if you have a kid, don't just, only take it when it's convenient for you, It's a responsibility. This story's called Entitled Father Shames My Parents for Adopting While They're Old and for Adopting a Disabled Child. Here's the cast.
Entitled Father.
NK, Mom, Dad, Disabled Younger Sister, Twin Sister, and me. Context. It was my birthday and I invited NK to it. For those who have read my other encounters, my sisters, brothers, and nieces were there. But they didn't do anything, so they're not in this. Entitled Father was dropping off NK and apparently wanted to meet my parents. NK and I had met at the park when my sister took me, so NK asked me if I could run and get them. At the time, Disabled Younger Sister was 1 year old, but due to her disability, she was extremely delayed and was barely sitting up on her own. So my parents took her with them. This is where chaos broke out.
You're not OP's parents, you're her grandparents.
We adopted her and twin sister when they were 4. We are their parents.
While you're old? Don't you think it's a little irresponsible? You should put them back in the system.
It's lucky for even a 4-year-old to get adopted. Granted, they had us since birth, it just took 4 years for the judge to let them adopt us. It is highly unlikely for a preteen or a teen to get adopted. At the time, I just turned 11.
Both me and my wife are in perfect health and have nothing wrong with us. Why are you holding that scared child?
He actually called her that. She's our youngest daughter and I would suggest you leave.
She's never gonna make it past 5.
He left and took NK with him. I never saw her again. I love how everyone on the Entitled Parents subreddit just happened to upvote all sad stories today. Goodness. Anyway, the dad guy was a jerk. Goodness. Alright, this story's called Drunk Entitled Mom Doesn't Get Her Way, Drives Car Through Front Entrance. This story is, unfortunately, about my own entitled mother, so strap in, peeps. It is a long one. Backstory. My mother is a recovering alcoholic, but during the story, she was still drinking very heavily. This happened when I was 12, which was about 8 years ago. I was living with my father and my mother was living God knows where. My father's mom had just passed and we inherited her collections of different expensive statues/figurines. If I had to guess, the most expensive collection has over 100 figurines in it and cost in total around $250,000. This is important for later. Story. I had just gotten home from school at around 3:30 when I hear this heavy knocking on my door. Scratch that. It was more of a banging on the door. I walk over to the door, look out the window, and see my mother standing there looking calm. I open the door and the following interaction occurred. Here's the cast. My entitled mother.
Father.
And me. How are you doing? I'm doing great. What brings you around? My mom not caring about my response. Is your dad home? No. He's at work until 4:45. What do you need? Okay, can you let me in for a sec? I gotta grab something. No, Mom. What can I grab for you? I probably know where it is. I do live here. No, that's okay. Just let me in and I can grab it. You wouldn't know what to look for. Well, Dad told me not to let you in unless he was here, so I can't. Again, what is it? I can grab it. Entitled Mom is not happy with this answer and I can see her face switch from kinda calm to irritated and hateful. Look, your dad doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm your mother and I am allowed into the same living space as my child. Mom, really? Dad said you can't come in unless he is here. Well, I'm coming in. You can't stop me. I'm your mother. You have to listen to me and let me in. No. I go to close the door, but she forces her way into the house. As soon as she's in, she starts marching around, looking for something. At this point, I didn't know she was looking for the collection of figurines. Mom, if you don't leave right now, I'm calling Dad and then the police. You can't be in the house. If you're in here, I can be in here too. Your dad isn't here to stop me and the police wouldn't do anything because you are my kid. At that moment, she spots the figurines. I watch her run over to the cabinets holding the figurines and open the first one. When she picked up one, I knew what she wanted. What are you doing? Put that back. It's not yours. That was Grandma's. No, I need this. It's gonna help me pay for bills. She actually meant alcohol. As your mom, I can borrow this for myself. You wouldn't want me to starve, would you? Well, no. That belonged to Grandma, not you. You can't take that. It will make Dad very sad. Put it back, please. No, I need it. Your dad wouldn't notice as long as you don't tell him. Do you want to make your dad sad? It would be all your fault. I think he would actually be mad at you since you didn't help me. That's not true. Give me the figurine and leave. I reach for the figurine, but she jerks her arm back, right into the open cabinet with the other figurines. I watch as one rocks back and forth and then falls to the ground. It feels like time has stopped. When it hits the ground, it just shattered. These are crystal figurines. I am devastated. Not only did one of my deceased grandma's figurines just break, this one is special because it was the one I had picked out when we were looking. Of all the ones to break, she broke my figurine. I just started screaming at her. Look what you did! You broke it! How could you do that? Do you know how important that was to me? Rolling her eyes at me. Well, that one was cheap, so of course it would break. Next time, get a more expensive one. Now I'm gonna take this one and leave. And she holds up the one in her hand. You need to leave now! She starts walking towards the door with the figurine. I am following, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As she walks through the door, she is transferring the figurine to her purse. I reach forward and grab it out of her hand. She whips back around to start screaming at me, but I slam the door in her face and lock it. She starts banging on the door, yelling to be let back in. As she is screaming through the door, I call my dad to let him know the situation.
Hello?
Dad, this is me. Mom is here. She tried to take a figurine and she broke another one.
Did you let her in?
No, she forced her way in.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm upset because she broke the one I picked out with Grandma, but I'm okay.
Is she still there?
Yeah, she's at the door screaming at me. While this call is happening, she is still pounding on the door. She starts threatening me, calling me names, saying just real hateful things. Then she says something I will never forget.
If you don't let me in this instant, I'm going to drive my car through the front door. Listen to me, I'm your mother. And you have to do as I say. If not, I'm going to tell your father about this.
Dad, she just said she's gonna drive through the front door.
Do not let her in the house. Back away from the door. I'm on my way home right now. I'm going to hang up and call the police. Do not go near the door, okay?
Yes, sir. Suddenly, entitled mom gets silent. No more pounding on the door, no more screaming, just silence. I thought she had left, but I stayed away from the door. As I'm watching the door, I hear revving. There is no way she is actually going to drive through the door. No normal person would do that, right? Wrong. I was so wrong.
Bam!
Next thing I know, this woman drives her car into the front entrance of my house. Her car is inside my house. I'm in shock. My little 12-year-old mind can't handle this. I'm terrified of this woman. Where do I go? What do I do? She just backs up her car, bumper hanging off, front totaled. Entitled mom then gets out of her car, marches through the hole she just made, and goes straight at me. When she is within reach of me, she just slaps me hard. She then grabs my arm and drags me outside. She then starts yelling at me, telling me I'm a horrible daughter, how I'll never be anyone. She hits me a couple more times, but I just don't fight back. At this moment, my father shows up with the cavalry. He had called the police and told them what was happening at our house. When he arrived, so did 5 cop cars. They arrive right as she hits me again. To make it short, she was immediately arrested. The entire time, she is screaming that I'm her kid and she can do as she pleases with me. That it is her right to punish her child and be in the same household as her child. She also thought it would be smart to attack one of the police officers holding her. My father was extremely angry because not only had this woman assaulted me, she caused damage to our house, broke into our house, and tried to steal sentimental items as well. Now, if you blow over a .08 on a breathalyzer, you have consumed too much alcohol and should not be operating any heavy machinery. She blew a .412. She was wasted. When the officers asked if my father wanted to press charges, he didn't hesitate to say yes. She was charged with child abuse, child endangerment, reckless driving, driving under the influence, assault of a police officer, resisting arrest, and larceny. She was sentenced for 3 years in the local prison before she was released on parole. I never visited her while she was in jail. This was not the worst thing she ever did to me, but it was one of the dumbest things she did. When I turned 19, she reached out to me and wanted to try to reconnect. By this point, she was in rehab, back in school, and trying to be better. She is still entitled and a choosing beggar, but at least she isn't drinking anymore. Now she has no excuse for being a baseball pitcher. Okay, wow, that was a wild story. I'm glad she's no longer an alcoholic, I guess. That's like irreparable damage right there, and I'm not talking about the house. Jeez. This story's called Entitled Mom Threatens Me with Security at a LARP I'm Running. I was really into LARPing while I was at college. So much so that I actually got involved with the local LARP organizing scene, which was a group of companies that ran one-day and weekend LARPs that were paid to attend. A lot of work goes into a LARP, especially because you don't know where you'll actually be hosting the thing. This story takes place at a sci-fi one-day event we ran at the college. We had booked out a whole square of seminar rooms for the game, informed campus security and police because we had knife and gun props, put up signs at every entrance to the quad explaining about the event. There was some family housing around, so people were going to come and go, but we could stop a random study group just appearing in one of our rooms. Now, as it's a college campus, the public is allowed to sorta roam around it. My college was sorta out of the way, but there was enough woodland, etc. that people would just wander around. Anyway, about 2 hours into the game, things are going as expected, if a little slow. As a ref, I'm just sorta sticking by groups of players in case I need to give them some plot or answer any questions they might have. That's when I hear someone going pew pew from the hallway. I step outside to find a mom, who we'll call entitled mom, and her kid, maybe 6 or 7, who we'll call small child, playing with some of our prop guns. The mom is having a grand old time going pew pew and making the kid dodge and stuff. Thing is, the only place she could have gotten those guns is from the ref bunker. The room with all the props as well as the personal items of the refs. Hi, can I help you? No. Can I ask you where you got those guns from? They're ours. I don't think they are. I'm running an event here and I'd like you to return our property, please. What sort of event has guns at it? Not wanting to try and explain the LARPing to her. We're doing a play. Oh well, just found these guns in a room with no one in it, so sorry, I guess. It's fine, just pass them over to me and we'll all be good. Also, we have booked out these rooms, so I'm gonna have to ask you to move elsewhere. It's a free country, I can be wherever I want. Just for clarity, we are literally standing in a rather drab university corridor. I would prefer it if you moved elsewhere so that you don't interfere with our play and so that you aren't bothered by our constant moving about. Oh, what if my son joined your little play? I'm sorry? He's very well behaved and very talented. Oh, come on, let him join your play. Just for today, we'll all be happy. No, this is an adult play. It's not kid-friendly. Well, I tried to be reasonable. I guess I'll have to go tell my friend at security that you're harassing me. She does that entitled mom pause and stare, as if waiting for me to beg for forgiveness and cave to her demands. Okay. I'm sure they won't be happy to hear that you're harassing members of the public with guns. Who knows? I'm really gonna go and tell them, Okay. I just stare deadpan at her. She huffs and drops the prop gun on the floor, telling her son to do the same before storming out, dragging her kid behind her. Unsurprisingly, security didn't show up. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I actually 100% believe everything about this story. The entitled mom, her reaction was just very realistic. But anyway, yeah, her entitled bone was showing hardcore there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.